and welcome to OrangeJuiceCast. I am joined today by a man who is the first man in all of Guildford to have a face tattooed on his penis. It's Tom.
It's a face of Bowser.
I was going to ask what the face was.
Both Bowsers.
Yeah, as in
Bowser and
Doug Bowser?
Doug Bowser and Bowser.
Oh, Doug Bowser and on Bowser.
Doug Bowser.
And
Bowser.
Also joining me is a man who celebrated some good news in the rape charge didn't stick. It's Matt.
That's the fourth one I've got away with.
They can't pin it on me. Take their phone and put
I'm
the
like
message
soap. Slipping through the police's fingers.
Isn't that one of the reasons you got caught?
Yeah.
The soap.
Yeah.
Today we are going to talk about Pokemon.
Whoop.
So in general, we're just going to discuss with the upcoming games, Sword and Shield, just the general state of how Pokemon is at the moment, the previous couple of games, and our opinions on them. And for an extra special fucking treat, our favourite Pokemon, which will inevitably diverge into absolute carnage when we scream at each other. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? So, Tom, let's start with you. What are your thoughts on the first couple of trailers for Sword and Shield?
They really should have went and made Pokemon Conquest 2 or
Pokemon Ranger
or
2.
Pokken 2
Pokemon
Pokemon Channel 2. No,
Pokemon Rumble 2.
I feel like they had it so long ago with Colosseum and DX, and they're slowly getting back to it again, but they're very stuck to their roots in, but it's still got to be handheld, which I respect, and I've enjoyed watching it. It's a bit disappointing, the whole thing about, it's open world zone, but only this specific part of the zone is open world and cool. And then I don't give a shit about there being less of a dex. In fact, I'd be interested to see if it affects the competitive meta, because do people still play on full meta online, or would people, because people going to tournaments, I assume, would have to use the game itself, which makes it, I'd like to see what the meta shift is.
I mean, I actually 100% agree with you there, Tom. I was expecting more of a fucking gonna kill me, but I think me, Matt, and you pretty much have the same opinion of Sword and Shield in that. I don't know how you felt about the last couple of games, but I mean, me and Matt specifically have felt they've waned a little bit, and they've not innovated very much, and they've become a bit stale.
I feel like they got to a point with Diamond and Pearl, and it was great. Maybe Ruby and Sapphire was the peak for me, but I appreciate Diamond and Pearl is good.
I liked Diamond and Pearl.
And then they took a massive fucking leap back, as everybody agrees, except me, that Black and White and Black and White 2 are trash games.
Sure.
And then they got back to that level again, and they've kind of stayed there. They've added features that some people give a shit about, I guess, like, Pokemon Plaza. Oh, yeah. I mean, Pokemon Go is kind of, with Pokemon Let's Go, Eevee and Pikachu is a thing that some people enjoy. Never played it, and I don't think I'm ever going to.
I mean, that's the thing. That's a good point, actually, because obviously, the game's barely innovated. They added small quality of life stuff.
Inside itself, it's not innovated. What they're doing around it is another story.
I mean, the Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu, some of the changes they made to that game were, cool. I'd like to see, catching is just, you have to battle it, just fucking throw that ball.
The Let's Go games are quite clearly spin-offs.
Yes.
Basically. They remade Gen 1 because they thought that's what everyone would be familiar with, which is probably right.
Good nostalgia.
The Let's Go games are clearly, let's try and capture some of the Pokemon Go crowd.
Yeah.
And maybe practice some Switch development for the upcoming.
Test some sort of new mechanics and see how people react to them. So they put Pokemon on the overworld, which everybody went, great, that's a really good idea, which clearly they put into the Safari.
The problem I don't know that much about it, but my understanding is that Nintendo obviously still have Game Freak as a subsidiary or something, but they never put that much staff into it though. Game Freak has a limited staff, and that's why they always have issues with modelling and stuff.
Nintendo have almost no power over Game Freak. Yeah. Nintendo don't get a say. Yeah. Nintendo are just happy that they work for their systems. Game Freak are their own entity and do whatever they want with their own staff and stuff. Which, by the sounds of things, I don't know that in depth, but by the sounds of things, even though we're talking about the highest grossing media franchise in the world, definitely gaming.
It's
media.
up the top somewhere.
It's definitely gaming.
Probably.
Anyway, look, it's number one in monies. Even though they're so rich, they have apparently not expanded as much as you'd think, if at all, and are still working as a small kind of team.
Yeah.
The thing with
pretending to be an indie developer whilst being one of the biggest
exactly.
franchises.
Well,
they have a film, for fuck's sake.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like a joke, but in a way, they very much act like indie developers in a lot of the things they do. The problem with all the what I want to say is that even if there has been no major shift in the franchise since Red and Blue, and by major shift I mean like in the way that their maybe catching mechanics work, or the way
the battle system
works,
exactly
or the way the story is told. There's no major shift since Red and Blue. We're still doing the same things. Even if... So that hasn't happened. Now, this wouldn't be as much as a problem if all the small iterations to that formula actually stuck from game to game and release to release. But they don't. So you'll have one game which introduces a bunch of new features which you love and are great quality of life things, and you're like, oh, this is awesome.
Do you remember rotation battles?
I do. And then the next game they'll maybe keep one or two if you're lucky, and they'll introduce one or two more, and then they'll just drop half the other stuff.
Yeah.
And some of these things aren't even like... So there's two kind of divisions on this. Some of these things are like, oh, we introduced Z moves. And that was clearly the gimmick of that game, and they had no other intention of ever doing any more Z moves.
Sure.
Yeah.
They brought it in for that game to be the gimmick for that game. Same with No Revolutions when they did that. So that was clearly, we're doing this on one-off gen and we're going to sack it off the next one. That's not great, to be honest. They should have... When you introduce an idea, you should expand on it in the sequels.
Mega Evolutions, I agree with. I don't know about Z moves. I still think the whole gimmick is, this is Hawaii.
Yeah, I'm not...
Do a dance.
Yeah, I get it. Well, I mean, that was the thing.
Yeah.
That was
Strike
exactly
a pose.
the thing. Strike a pose.
Strike a pose.
Strike a pose. But people liked him and are sad to see them go. So there's that one side, which is, okay, you introduced a gimmick to make it different or feel different or whatever, so that's different. But then there's other things, which is like, these are great quality of life choices that people love, and you just got rid of them for no reason.
I feel like we're in an awkward position of being the middle ground of gamers. Or not that it's a straight line, it's quite a fucking big circle, but like, there's people who probably love the games. I don't know if breeding got better or worse, but the breeders of fucking Pokemon, the breeders.
Yeah, I'm sure you can find a lot of those people on fucking DeviantArt.
They've obviously hated and then the people who play it just for fun probably are loving it. People who play it, like, they play Pokemon one-off, which isn't us.
Sure.
Might be us now, but it wasn't us when we played.
I get it. We're not like the hardcore competitive grind for those stats.
That's what I mean though. There's like so
but
many...
we're also not I'll pick up one game every now and then. I'll play the games in the series. But like, I'm not gonna deal with like I tried talking to someone online on the Reddit about just like
the Reddit
machine.
Jazz logged into.
I logged onto.
He clicked that Internet Explorer logo.
I went onto Twitch.
HTTP
//facegram
www.
I was like, hi Yahoo, please can you show me where the
and Jazz opened his webpage, which was the his homepage set to Ask Jeeves.
Yeah,
obviously.
absolutely.
And was like, please can I access the Reddit?
Just the dial-up noise is coming on.
When you log onto your mum's laptop and she's like...
he opens the AOL client and he does the dial-up. Logs into AOL Messenger.
Yeah.
Times.
So I just spoke about changes that could happen on Pokemon, just the series in general. I suggested some ideas and like people were like, straight in, like, no way, this cannot, absolutely not can this happen because it's like integral. I was like, why don't we just do 6 moves instead of 4 moves? But just a simple thing. Everyone's like, no, absolutely not. You idiot. You have no idea how to design games, you fool. Because it's like so intricately designed for 4 moves, competitive. I was like, whoa, okay. But, you know, it's just try something different. They could balance it.
How bad would a Final Fantasy Overdrive or Limit Break. Mechanic B is Overdrive in
sure.
the one I'm.
Alright, well.
But how bad would that be in Pokemon?
Well,
that is kind of what Z-moves is, but like,
this is the thing. So let's say I've always said for ages I want wild scale changes. I want to go into a battle and be like, this is a whole new system.
Yeah.
And we're doing something else. Yeah. Or catching, or the way you move,
just
whatever. I don't care.
Big difference.
I want huge differences because we've been playing these games, almost been playing Red and Blue for 20 years.
Yeah, I don't need to replay Gold and Silver.
Let's be honest, 25 years, whatever. So I'm up for massive changes. Now, if they say we're not going to make massive changes because, like you said, people love the games and people love the way they play, and a lot of the way the games are, everything's integral, everything's set up and balanced in air quotes because I mean it's Pokemon, but balanced for moves and turn base and all this shit, right? Okay, so you say we can't make massive wild scale changes because then we'll upset all the hardcore fans who love these games and love the competitive scene. They're still upsetting all these fans.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
This is what I meant. The circle. It's like
the sacrifice. It's not like, okay, we can't make big wide scale changes, but at least the fans that love the games are going to love the next one.
They cannot
Because
please
hey,
everything.
we listen to you, so we're not going to make a big wide scale change about how battles are.
Yeah.
We're keeping it the same. And we're going to introduce all these other features that all you competitive players are going to love. No, they're saying fuck you to the people that want a big change, but also fuck you to the competitive scene because you're not getting all the Pokemon you want and all the other
This
stuff.
is what I meant. Like, if the competitive scene changed for the better with a smaller dex, the other half of it is that everybody who did catch them all and that was it.
Sure.
They're fucked. They're like, oh, well, this is shit.
I can't see the competitive scene being that influential to Game Freak's decisions. Like how? I mean, obviously they have the Pokemon Championships and it's a big thing, for people. But the percentage of players who really play it competitively, that cannot be a big proportion of the people who just pick up the games and play.
I agree. I think we may, and I'm not sure, underestimate how many people bring forward their Pokemon from previous games.
Sure.
Now, I don't do this. I don't have a need to.
I do. It's on the start.
I've done it a few times.
See, I think people might do this more often than I think. People love that shit. And I think that's where the problems arise. Because if in the next game you say, oh yeah, everyone gets 6 moves now, then you can't bring forward Pokemon from the previous gen.
Why not?
And then, because then you got to give them 2 extra moves. Do you just pick them?
That's not an issue. Taking them back was always the issue. Bringing them forward and going 2 extra moves, it's just like, or just fucking TM them.
I'm
or
sure,
have a tutor in the fucking game.
I think they can just, as long as it's not like restricting something.
They've had the historic tutor before.
I get it, but like, okay, even if it's not just 2 extra moves, let's say it changes to like a system where it's like it's like half turn based. Remind me of there's
ATB
games that have done this where it's like
ATB.
you have a time limit and
ATB.
cooldowns.
It's ATB.
Right? ATB.
Yeah, Final
okay.
Fantasy 7.
Let's just say
Action turn based, right?
Sure, fine. Let's just say they were like, we're changing this up because we've done this for 25 years. We're going to try like an action turn-based.
Sorry, it's active time battle. Sorry.
I
don't know why I didn't correct you.
We're doing an active time battle. It's Final Fantasy 7 but Pokemon, right? Okay, now whether or not you like the idea of that or not, it's at least a change and something different, but you would have problems with the previous gen and compatibility that way. So, I understand to a point the fact that they're in this kind of hole where every single game is kind of, to an extent, I know there's been great gaps in generations where you have to fill it with Pokemon Bank and Home or whatever.
Sure.
But sort of, all the generations link. Like in one way or another.
You could theoretically get from Pokemon Red and Blue to Pokemon Sun and Moon.
Could you?
Yeah,
I think you
Ruby Sapphire is where it skips a bit.
Well, I think you would need to get
Friendship Plaza in Emerald.
Because you can.
I think you would need to get, isn't it, the red, blue, and yellow on 3DS? And do it that way.
No, there was always a way to do on each of them.
So you go
I
red
swear
to
God,
gold to ruby, you could do somehow, I'm sure.
Because
I don't think you can.
Okay, so on the Game Boy Advance, you can put Game Boy Color games in the slot as well as the Game Boy. So what you
No, DS you're talking about.
No. In the Game Boy Advance, you could play Game Boy games.
Oh no, I agree with this. No,
so you play game. I remember playing Ruby and Sapphire, and I know this guy. He would go onto like some sort of upstairs of the poker center or whatever. He'd talk to some guy, go, okay, put in your fucking gold or silver or whatever now. You put it in, and then he'd go, which Pokemon do you want to select? And you do that.
The hardest transition they had was between consoles. So what happened is, when the DS came out, in Platinum, you could put your Game Boy Advance in one slot.
Into
and
the,
what it
into
would
the
do
bottom
is
of the
it would
DS.
pull all the Pokemon you have in there and you could catch them.
Alright,
And then
so-
the DS to 3DS was the Pokemon Bank.
So, okay, like I said, let's say the next game they want to make is like, alright, we can't make it Final Fantasy VII Pokemon because we're already stuck in our ways and people love bringing their Pokemon forward from previous gens.
And Konami will sue us.
And we can't change.
It's Square Enix.
Square Enix, yeah. We can't change too much. Okay, so we can't change too much. Alright, so what are you doing instead of not changing too much? Well, we're not giving you all the quality of life features that we've given you in previous games. We've dropped half of that shit. Sometimes we bring them back, sometimes we don't for no reason. Features people love, we sometimes drop for no reason.
They dropped the best feature when they did Ruby Sapphire.
Omega Ruby.
The flying mechanic.
So yeah, I actually wanted to bring this up.
It's insane.
So the fact that they mapped flying onto a specific button, which obviously HMs get rid of that shit, and it's now like dedicated buttons. And not only could you fly to like the cities at any point, you could also fly to certain areas on the map, which would reduce the time you have to backtrack and everything. And also, there's like sky battles and stuff. It was a great mechanic. Didn't bring it forward.
Fuck that.
Let's go Pikachu, Pokemon in the overworld, and like easy catching or whatever. People were like, oh, this is actually really good. And just like the shiny catching and stuff, people are like, this is great. And then you see the trailers for Sword and Shield, and they're just like, yeah, fuck that noise.
Fuck that. Fire Red and Leaf Green had a system where once you boot up the game, it shows you
the fucking history,
black and white footage of like a couple.
Oh
of, like,
yeah, that's
half an hour,
great.
half an hour of your playtime sped up, so you knew what you were doing.
Yeah.
So you could leave the game for 3 weeks and come back.
I forgot about it.
I really was
What a fantastic
They did it
fucking
once.
idea.
They did it once for Fire Red, Leaf Green, and they never touched it again.
Yeah.
And it's like, why? You have the feature, like. So if you're not going to make these wild scale changes that I would like, then at least give us the small iterations year on year, so the games do get better.
And I mean, even Gold and Silver, after you beat Gold and Silver, you can go to Kanto and do that whole shit again.
Yeah.
And so every single post game in all of the Pokemons has really felt like they've really scaled it back. Because it's just not as good as a fucking whole other game.
Ruby Sapphire
people love
had the mini quest of the
Emerald had Battle Frontier, which people really like.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure Battle Frontier makes up for not being able to go back to a whole nother region.
Well, no, because that's the issue. Battle Frontier then made it commonplace for them to go, oh, so here's a big tower you have to fight.
Here's a big tower at the end. But yeah, you're right. In Gold and Silver, you can go back to the Kanto regions. And that was a challenge at the time because of how small cartridges were.
And then afterwards.
And the way it was developed and trying to squeeze it all into one cartridge. Now we don't have that issue. We have so much storage on little cartridges, but we don't We don't have a post game that Gold and Silver does back 20 years ago.
We have our issues with Black and White, and I think all the bad things about it, that was the closest we got to having a post game again. Where after they added 3 more cities, you went round.
Yeah, I remember that. That was good stuff. It was like post-game content.
Bad, but the post-game content was actually they went, we'll do it again. But shame that's like, because most things now are just like, oh, and here's a little side quest for you to do. Ultra Beast, there you go.
Oh yeah. Fuck Ultra Beast.
I hated Ultra Beast.
Yeah.
And at the time I was worried because I was like, oh, this is the direction Pokemon's going now. But then I remembered they bring in these things to one game and they never touch them again.
Yeah.
Ultra Beast won't be. I guarantee you there won't be in. Sword and
absolutely
Shield.
not.
Because instead we have Dynamaxing, which is the.
So that is replaced. Specifically, they've said no Mega Evolutions, no Z moves. Dynamaxing
is the thing on this game.
But there's Gigamaxing as well. In that new trailer, so there's Dynamaxing, which is you expand the Pokemon, they do a move. Yeah. And there's Gigamaxing, which is you expand the move and they change their appearance and do a bigger attack or something. So, I don't know.
Again, if you have any strong feelings on Dynamaxing one way or the other, it doesn't really matter because you'll never see it again after this generation.
Have they revealed?
So, for reference, I think it's the most. At least C moves and Mega Evolutions took work to put in. They're a one-off gimmick to try and make the game feel different. No matter what you think about them, they will work.
Yeah.
Dynamaxing is just taking the vectors that they already have, the models, and scaling them up. That's all it is. It's a joke. It's so lazy.
Oh mate, I know you just said something about being completely lazy, and I'm about to shoot myself in the foot by saying this, but I haven't seen that much about it. They said they're doing forms again.
So, actually, exactly what I was thinking about. So, obviously, in Sun and Moon, their big thing was like, we've got Alolan forms. So they were like, because they're tired of making so many new Pokemon. Because the Pokedex is 800 Pokemon long,
It's close to 1,000 now.
Yeah, and it's just like the more games you get, the more they're just going to try and add in new Pokemon. So So what their idea was forms, which is take these old Pokemon that you love, like Vulpix, let's give it an ice form, make it look cool. And everyone was like, oh, that's great.
They were great.
You know,
Yep.
Dark Rattata, and even that's even from the Mega Evolution, which was, hey, remember Charizard? Imagine what? Even bigger Charizard. And everyone went, that's fucking great. I'd love to see my Pokemon with a Mega
You
Evolution.
think Charizard should be a dragon? Here's your fucking dragon.
So I was really excited for that to be like, okay, this is the thing they're
doing
doing.
forms again in Swords?
No, they're
fine.
not.
No.
I'm pretty sure they're not.
I'm pretty sure they're not either because we've seen nothing about it.
Yeah.
So we've only seen 2 trailers.
The argument
to be fair,
is
but
that it works.
They're out there.
but it doesn't work
yeah.
in England.
It's
It
not an
would.
argument.
Put
Yeah,
fucking
yeah.
Of course
put a
it
little
would.
monocle on it.
Yeah,
even.
But Pikachu has a fucking like
Pikachu's wearing a white beater vest and has a can of Stella, and he says something racist when you walk when you count him.
Chances
Instead of going Pika Pika,
Chances are wearing a
he's
Liverpool
like,
shirt and he's
go
fucking-
back to where you came from.
Geodude's got a fucking Chelsea shirt. He's pushing Jinx off a fucking train.
Wow.
Yeah.
Edit out.
Yeah, no way. So, you know, this stuff's not getting put back in, and it's just like, I mean, to be fair, I feel sorry for Game Freak because they haven't got that many staff.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Oh, I feel
and-
no sympathy.
And they pump out. Okay,
They made that choice,
I feel
yeah,
no
exactly.
feel no sympathy for the fucking higher ups, the people who decide this shit, the shareholders or whatever. They pump out a game every year, every 2 years, and so they're just like, fuck, we have to do 800 Pokemon, make new fucking models, new animations for them all. It takes fucking forever to do. And like, they have to do new systems, so they're just like, fuck, we'll cut content, we'll cut corners, keep the same animations, keep the same whatever, you know. And, you know, I get it. They need to pump out a fucking game by deadlines. They need to fucking do it. But it's stagnating, and finally people are catching on to like, okay, we can't play Gold and Silver again for the 5th time in a row. Like,
Yeah, right. So talk about the Galore decks. Galore decks. The new regional.
Galar.
The new regional.
Galar.
British decks. Wait, Brexit.
The new Brexit decks in Sword and Shield. Basically, no more national decks. You can't bring over everything. Just only Pokemon that they've deemed Brexit enough to be in the game. So
We've checked our passports. They have British descent in them, or they're not from Europe.
loads of things. Like this.
Is there anything so perfect for a Brexit analogy than the national decks being halved because of limitations and like destruction?
Firstly, I'm really trying to wrap my head around why they couldn't do this. Now, they've said in interviews, we didn't do it because we wanted to focus on higher fidelity models and animations.
Yeah.
That's a lie.
We'll see.
That's a straight lie. It's a lie. It's almost been proven that they're the same models that they made for Sun and Moon.
Yeah.
Now, listen, Sun and Moon, I didn't like lots of elements of it, but at least with Sun and Moon, you could make the argument, hey, the game didn't change as much as you might have liked, it wasn't as big as you might have liked, there's no end game, etc., etc. But we genuinely had to make 800 3D models. This is our first foray into everything 3D, correct?
Yeah.
No more sprites. They have the models now.
Yeah.
And by the looks of things, the ones that they use for Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee, and seeing what we can from the trailers, they look like the same models.
Yeah.
So
Same animation, same models.
I'm not sure
I'd say
where.
less polygons, but probably still. That's just
But
sharp.
I think
it's just
they're
they
designed in a
scaled
way
it
so
up
they're like
and-
vectors, so you can scale them.
Yeah.
And none of the Pokemon are too detailed anyway, so you can just scale them. So I'm not sure why they haven't done this.
So I have a reason, and my cynical game dev brain has this in my mind, and I know I would put my house on this being true. A couple of months after Pokemon launches, DLC, you get those Pokemon that you want.
And they just patch it in.
Yeah.
Maybe.
You get forms.
I think
No,
that's-
because it kicked up such a fuss, and I mean, I am fine with the culling of the decks because it keeps it very focused, and it can be sort of achievable that you can catch all these Pokemon. You know, whatever they have to focus on the balancing and stuff. You know, fine. They have other areas that they can actually focus their development on. Fine, I have no problems with it. But like, the fact is their excuse is that they're doing all this stuff because of it, and I'm certain it's not that, and I'm certain they're just doing what other AAA studios do. They'll cut out content so they can resell it to you,
I don't.
and people will buy it. Would you buy it if they said tomorrow, you buy the game, you're really enjoying it? It said, right, we'll sell you the rest of the Pokemon that you want.
No.
You would. You would absolutely do
I don't
that.
give a shit.
Not on its own.
I just want to play for the game, yeah.
Oh, I do as well.
If they promised after game content, yeah.
If they bundled it in, here's some after game.
If they went, oh yeah,
Sure.
sorry, we're releasing all of Kanto and Johto as an after game
Okay,
area.
fine. I
They'd
could
never do that.
They'd never do that.
No, but I could totally see them doing something like that. You know,
I don't think
they would
they've
make
usually
bank
been
out of
upfront,
it.
like Pokemon Bank. They went, we're gonna add Pokemon Bank. You're gonna have to pay for it. They don't usually go after the point. They're usually before the matter. They go.
I mean,
Right.
Game Freak don't really do DLC either. They had the chance of Sun and Moon.
They did do it for specifically. I fucking hate that nowadays. They did it for Conquest.
Yeah,
Well, you know,
that's different.
it's a brave new world post mobile games. You know, we got that money.
I'm just really perplexed because I'm not saying there would be no work involved. I'm sure there's coding and stuff to do.
Yeah.
I'm saying they didn't need to make 800 models.
I prefer the idea of it.
So what is the excuse? I don't quite get it.
I mean,
What would be interesting?
I'm wondering if the initial intention was, yes, we're going to bring forward all the Pokemon, and something went wrong during the development process when they were building the game up, and that it turned out it was harder just to port these models across, harder than it should have been. They fucked up somewhere, and they're
or
like,
they had space capacity issues.
yeah, something
maybe.
like that. They fucked up somewhere, and they were like, the game's got to come out in November, no matter what. And we've also got another game in development, which all our main resources and our main guys are on. So we're gonna just say, oh, we can't do it.
It could be that there's some mechanic we haven't seen that's specifically.
I don't think
I
that.
don't
I
know.
reckon
I
they
don't
fucked
think
up
so.
in
somewhere.
the alternate
Yeah.
to Jazz's pessimistic view, my view.
Or they've lost the models for a couple of them.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be, we don't have the source file. I wouldn't be surprised.
We don't have the Sun and Moon models.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I reckon it might be just a case of, think about it, when you first started Pokemon, Gold and Silver, now, especially now, it doesn't seem like a hard game. 251 Pokemon, not that hard to remember.
Sure.
I mean, it is hard to remember on the spot, and we can't do those tests. But
Sure, but you can
what I'm
recognise.
saying is, they've just released Pokemon Let's Go Eevee and Pikachu. I wouldn't be surprised if the majority of the first original 151 appeared in that game, and they went, this is a new starting point. We start from here.
Sure.
This makes it easier for people to start into the game.
So
absolutely.
people didn't like this, but I wouldn't. I would be sort of fine with it. I get the gotta catch them all. Oh no, I gotta catch some of them. But like you said,
kids can't catch 851
absolutely.
Pokemon
I've said this before.
that easily.
I've said this before. Like the first two gens, maybe the third, is a realistic goal to catch them all. After that, it's like you got to be so devoted.
I spent
you got to be
250 hours
what's
on
the
Diamond
mystery
and Pearl
trading?
getting all of them, and I felt like I was like, this is too much.
But all of them, as in all of the ones in Diamond and Pearl,
I could
all the Pokemon.
every
to that
single
point.
Pokemon, but it took me for fucking ever to do.
I mean,
and I couldn't even imagine doing
what's
it.
the thing called, the global trading thing?
Oh yeah,
Wonder
the
Trade.
training made it easier,
but it makes it easier for another 100 Pokemon, or
that's-
another 500
but that's
Pokemon.
the thing. It's not me doing it myself, going through the world and doing it
That's the
myself.
other thing, yeah.
It's I can't get these
Searching
Pokemon.
What
It's
happened
just
to
fucking-
like the classic? Like, it's so fucking, I hate myself. I sound old saying it, but like the old red, blue, gold, silver. It's kind of, you trade with your friends. You don't need to fucking.
No, I agree.
Hey, look, there's no reason for there to be two versions anymore. There's
I agree
there's
with
absolutely
that.
no
I
reason.
agree with that. Anyway, yeah. So a part of
sold out.
What is funny is that let's just take Gold and Silver, right? What is funny is that if there was no end game, as in Kanto region for Gold and Silver,
Yeah.
you would at least have across these arguably two games. Let's say you just have Blue and just have Gold. Across those two games, you have everything you entirely need.
Yeah.
That and a friend that has the other versions.
Yeah.
If you have those requirements, which isn't that much, you have everything.
And the link cable, but
And a link cable. You have everything that you need to fully complete the decks.
Yeah.
And that could be the end game.
Because
not only did Gold and Silver give you that, they also said, oh, you can go back to Kanto and pick up the Pokemon even if you don't have Blue.
and then fight Red, your original
Right.
player from Blue,
But-
which is the best fucking thing ever.
But now it's like, here's
Well,
here's the end game. There's 800 Pokemon. If you don't already have 600 packed up from the last time you
Yeah.
did this 2 gens ago,
Did they also-
you got a mammoth task on your hand,
Yeah.
which isn't a particularly fun one with the way you got to get all the
And
Pokemon.
it used to be fun with the whole like.
You can catch shinies
Like,
easier.
didn't they used to, Mew wasn't even included, was it, when you had to catch the? I don't know.
You had to go
I think
to an
Mew
event.
was a special.
You had to go to an event, but
That was okay because
three rare Pokemon. Wait, 2 rare Pokemon for Brent, Celebi and Mew.
yeah,
That's easy.
That's exactly what I'm saying. That was fine. Mew, Celebi, maybe Jirachi. Was that Gen 2?
Just 3.
Gen 3, right. So even then it's like, okay, you can catch all of them. And by catch, I mean not you find it on the Wonder Trade. As in, you walk into grass and catch them all.
Yeah.
Which is what it's fun about.
Or go to a game.
So you can catch all of them and you've got to do a special thing for Mew and Celebi. Cool. Now it's like, okay, you can't... If you want to catch all of them, it's a mammoth task. Then there's so many legendaries where it's like Mew, Celebi, Jirachi.
There's 3. Each year, or each generation, there's 3 special events.
Oh, you've got to be in the event, and if you don't miss it, I know Nintendo did launch some across. You can do like Wi-Fi events and things.
Yeah.
It's not the same, is it? It's not the same. Like, so basically, what I'm saying is that the end game of Gotta Catch 'Em All is not attainable for most players. So what do we have in its place? Still nothing.
It's just sort of battling.
Still nothing.
I agree.
So
the worst
no
bit
reward
is for the idea of Gotta Catch 'Em All isn't physically obtainable. Are people who can still do it even enjoying it?
Right,
it's just you trading
not.
everything through every time and going, right, I've got them all again, great.
Well, it's like competitive. Like, if you want to be competitive, you need to have breed Pokemon for 18 hours to get the perfect IVs and stats for their things.
Yeah, of course.
And then, I can't imagine that's fun for anyone. And so, if they really wanted to sort the competitive whatever out and make the quality of life stuff stick, like they did with like repels, where you just press the button, it does another repel straight away. That sort of good stuff.
Yeah.
They would cut all that nonsense out and just be like, okay, post game, you could just fucking reprogram your stuff so you can competitively battle straight away. Because then people will be like, oh great, I can just competitively battle and learn how to do that.
You go into
away.
an online mode, and if you pick competitive, then you pick your Pokemon that you want.
And they have the best stats
and
that they
you
can.
pick the IVs and you pick the nature.
You pick the moves that they can have. You everything you want. And so that gets people straight into the competitive scene instead of it being this elitist pool of people who spent hours grinding to get to breed Apom to be the best fucking nature and honestly nuts. So they don't care.
So yeah, I don't mind the Dex Cull because it does mean
and Ludicolour's in it, so who cares?
It does mean I'll get to that. It does mean a new start and now an obtainable finish.
Yeah.
I could see myself...
And you'd enjoy catching...
Yeah,
absolutely.
I could see myself beating the whatever version of the Elite Four there is on Sword and Shield and being like, well, I'm probably not that far off catching all the Pokemon in this dex. Now, the 2 arguments I've seen to this is A, you could always catch everything in the regional decks from previous versions.
Yeah, that is true, but
which is fair enough. About that. And B, the argument is that every Pokemon is someone's favourite Pokemon.
Yes.
So the fact is, like you said, Ludicolour's in it, so you're happy.
Yeah.
People will be, I love this set of Pokemon and I just can't access them now. And why can't I access them is probably more the bit that hurts than the fact that they can't. Because it's not like, I can't have my favourite Pokemon on Sword and Shield, but we get all this crazy new stuff.
Yeah.
Instead it's like, I can't have these Pokemon on Sword and Shield. The excuses that you released are awful and don't make sense. Yeah. I'm pretty sure you're lying to us.
Yeah.
And the game looks like shit. It looks awful.
Yes.
And the Dynamaxing thing is very underwhelming and it's not looking great. So all of this is compounded. I think they could have gotten away with it and said, look how much we've done to this game. We all changed. This is a new day for Pokemon.
Yeah.
All of this is change.
Yeah.
All of this is changing. We've had to make the sacrifice. You can't have the national decks. People would take that easier than with what they've done.
I still think
this looks like the same as every other Pokemon to an extent.
But you get less.
But you've put less Pokemon in it.
Yeah.
But isn't your point still stand? Sorry about that. Isn't your point still stand of like people are just going to be pissed off anyway? I still think that Game Freak would have got off better if they just went to Rule 34, looked for the Pokemon getting looted the most, and just cut all them out.
Wow.
Fine.
Gardevoir out. Lock out.
Sure. But I mean, because
Psylocke out.
I've never seen anybody complain about Game Freak or Pokemon nearly as much, like, since I mean, you know, Sun and Moon came out and everybody's like, wow, Hawaii? Yeah, that's great. Oh, what's that? There was, I can't remember any differences in Sun and Moon. I have no idea. 3D models?
They said,
Trials.
hey,
Wow.
we're getting rid of the gyms, they're trials now.
Yeah, fuck that.
and no,
They're gyms.
Yeah, they're gyms. And so, you know, I never saw anybody complain. And yet, this one game, they go, oh, we're getting rid of the National Pokédex. Everybody, like, the dislike bar on the trailer was, like,
funny,
massive.
funny.
People have kicked off. There's, like,
People still get it.
Sack Masuda trending on Twitter. Like, fucking boycott Pokemon.
Yeah.
It's nonsense. And I mean, fine, great.
It makes them seem as bad as like the AAA things. Like people still boycott EA for EA being money grabbing cunts. They're
Yeah,
like
awful
boycott Game
studio,
Freak
yeah.
for making some terrible artistic mistakes.
Still making the same thing that
No,
you've been
but I'm
eating
on-
for the last.
Game Freak are money grabbing cunts.
Yeah.
They're almost in the EA category.
Yeah.
If EA can release FIFA every year, not change much, and
Yeah.
still, you know,
Here we go.
I'm 100%
FIFA's
with
come
Matt.
up again.
FIFA's come up
Yeah,
again.
fucking Christ.
But
Get that bingo scorecard
I won't
out.
talk about it anymore. But you know what I mean? Game Freak, they're not quite there, obviously, but they're sort of like, it's the same game, we're selling back to you again.
It's not a
guys.
DLC pack like FIFA is, but it is just, you know, a new region.
I mean, yeah, at least they do go to different places.
They drag and drop.
Yeah. We made Red and Blue again, basically.